Hello, welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn to avoid some common mistakes, so let's get started. First, this is not correct.
Next, I'm going to tap the beverages menu, and as you can see, you can order a lot of beverages or soft drinks.
I cannot say beverages menu. This is a beverage menu. It's a menu of different drinks. Example, I want to look at the beverage menu. What about you? Do you want to look at the beverage menu? Another example, dessert menu. We cannot put S on it and say desserts menu because it's an adjective. You have to use the singular form dessert. The dessert menu or a dessert menu. A dessert menu is one in general, and the dessert menu is the specific one for that restaurant. So example, I can tell the waiter, I want to look at the dessert menu. Let's practice. Do you want to look at the dessert menu? That's right. I want to look at the dessert menu. Very good. This is also not correct.
So let's go ahead and scroll down. They have Coke products, Sprite, Fanta. They have some iced root beer. Here at McDonald's, they have Coke products. They have Coke, Diet Coke, Sprite, Fanta, root beer.
In America, we do not pronounce the word Fanta. It is pronounced Fanta. Fanta. Use the short A sound. Before the N, it changes a little bit. It becomes a little more nasal in your nose. Fana. Fana. What about the T? Well, when you have NT between vowels, you don't really hear the T. Like 20 and center. And this word too. It's more common to hear Fana than Fanta. Both are correct, but usually we don't pronounce the T. Fana. And we never say Fanta. Never. I don't like orange Fanta. I think it's too sweet. It has too much sugar. What about you? Do you like orange Fanta? Very good. This is also not correct.
Now I'm going to go ahead and make a line at the registers to order my food there.
I cannot say I'm going to go ahead and make a line. We cannot use make a line in this case. We say, I'm going to go stand in line, or get in line, or wait in line, but not make a line. When can we use make a line? When you have more than one person, for example, a teacher is talking to a group of children, and the teacher says, okay, everybody, make a line. It takes many people to make a line. But if you're talking about yourself, I'm going to go stand in line, I'm going to go wait in line, or I'm going to go get in line, not make. Example, he's going to go get in line, not make a line, get in line. Let's practice. What is he going to do? Is he going to get in line? That's right, he's going to get in line. Also, we see that there's no the. You don't say get in the line, wait in the line, or stand in the line. There's no the. Keep watching until the end of this video to practice with the word line and how to use it correctly. This is also not correct.
Now I'm going to order some food with the menu.
We don't say, I'm going to order some food with the menu. We use a different preposition. We use the preposition from the menu. So it's correct to say, I'm going to order some food from the menu, not with the menu. It's not you and the menu together ordering food. You order food from a menu. In this case, from the menu. It's a specific menu at a specific place. She's going to order some food from the menu. Let's practice. Is she going to order some food from the menu? That's right. She's going to order some food from the menu, not with the menu. This is also not correct.
After finishing my meal, now I have some taste for dessert. So I'm going to order myself a frappe.
We don't say I have some taste for dessert. It's possible to use taste in a countable way and say I have a taste for dessert, but it's not common. And we cannot use some. We cannot say I have some taste for dessert. It's only used as a countable noun. But again, it's not common. So what do you say? People say, I have a craving for dessert, or maybe I have room for dessert, but not some taste for dessert. Example, I have some room for dessert. some space in my stomach. We say room. I have some room for dessert. Do you have any room for dessert? Very good. Or we can use craving. I have a craving for dessert. Do you have a craving for dessert? Very good. This is also not correct.
And it's called drive-through because you need a car and you drive through it in a lane. And in some Latin American countries, drive-through is called automac. In other fast food restaurants, like the one next to me, Arby's, it's the same thing. It's called drive-through.
I cannot say it's called drive-through. Drive-through is a countable noun, so I have to use an article, a drive-through. It's correct to say it's called a drive-through. You can also use the article the drive-through, for a specific one. Example, I don't like to use the drive-through at this restaurant. It takes too long. And it's called a drive-through. Let's practice. Do you like to use the drive-through? Very good. Let's practice. What is it called? Is it called a drive-through? That's right, it's called a drive-through. We have to use an article. This is also not correct. How do you call drive-through in your country? First, remember, drive-through is countable, so it's a drive-through. And how do you call? We cannot say how do you call. When asking a question like this, and you use the verb call, we cannot use how. We have to use what. What do you call? The correct question is, what do you call a drive-through in your country? We have to use the question word what, and we have to use an article for drive-through, a drive-through. What do you call a drive-through in your country? I cannot say, how do you call drive-through in your country? It's not right. So let me know in the comments, what do you call a drive-through in your country? Put it in the comments. And keep watching for a complete explanation of why we say, what do you call, and not, how do you call? And to practice more. Keep watching to practice more.
You can say, it's a line. It's a long line. So if you describe one thing, we say, it's a long line. Or you can say, the line is long. We say the line because we're talking about this line. The line is long. But if you want to say, be in line, wait in line, stand in line, the is not necessary. Let's look at some examples. I don't like to wait in line. Do you like to wait in line? Good job. Last week we had to stand in line for 2 hours. Did you have to stand in line for 2 hours last week? Good job. And if you see someone and you're not sure if they are in line, you can say, are you in line? Yes, I'm in line. Or, no, I'm not in line. Go ahead. So remember these important exceptions. Stand in line, be in line, wait in line.
First, this is not correct.
This slushie and this popcorn is delicious. Talking about popcorn, how do you guys call popcorn in your country?
It's not correct to say, how do you guys call popcorn? And this is also not correct.
Oh yeah, they can even proofread your essay. How's the app called? I want to check it out. Hi Native. Oh wow.
It's not correct to say, how's the app called? And here's another teaching video with the title, Here's How We Call Each Finger. But it's not correct to say, here's how we call each finger. As you can see, this is a very common mistake made by non-native speakers. So how do we say it correctly? Well, if you want to know the name of something, it's not correct to say, how do you call it? We have to use the question word what. We have to say, what do you call it? We cannot use the question word how in this case.
What do you call that?
What do you call that?
What do you call it? Then?
What do you call it? That hat, what do you call it?
What do you call it when the assassins accuse the assassin?
I'm trying to, what do you call it?
What do you call it? A fixation, psychosis? Have you thought of that?
What do you call that, a goose?
She gave it all up to live with a bunch of women and, what do you call it? A sorority.
What do you call it, then? A success?
The fact that you're here and doing as well as you're doing gives me, what do you call it, a motivation, huh? To stay alive.
So let's look at the question and the answer. The question is, what do you call it? Or I can use passive voice and say, what is it called? I can also make the contraction, what's, and say, what's it called?
Oh, this one's good. What's it called again?
What's it called again?
What is it called?
They even got a whole, what is it called?
So that marbles thing that you were so very smart about, what is it called again?
What is it called? The cross-country classic?
Rita, please continue your restoration using Norman's, what is it called again?
What's it called again? Shake Shack?
When you answer this question, we have to answer with passive voice. It's called.
Exactly. It's called first jumping.
It's delicious. It's called a Malaga cooler.
It's called a gravity drive. It's called the knockout mechanism.
It's called the masses.
It's called a sandwalk.
Yes, they do, and horses and pigs and goats and sheep. And it's called animal husbandry.
It's called a rock blanket.
Or if I have something in my hand, I say this. What do you call this? Or I could use passive voice and say, what is this called? And the answer? It's called a plush toy. This is called a plush toy. Let's practice. What do you call this? That's right. This is called a plush toy. Now let's practice the question. Ask me the question. Very good. This is called a plush toy. What if you have two? For example, scissors. Question, what do you call these? These are called scissors. Or I can ask the question, what are these called? Or what are they called? They are called scissors. Let's practice. What are these called? That's right. These are called scissors. Now ask me the question. They're called scissors. Very good. So when can we use the question word how? We can use how with questions like, how do you pronounce? How do you say? And how do you spell? With these verbs, we use the question word how.
How do you pronounce that one?
How do you pronounce your name?
How do you pronounce this?
We were curious. How do you pronounce it?
Now, how do you pronounce your name?
Example, how do you pronounce your last name? I answer, it's pronounced Liddell. Let's practice. How do you pronounce your last name? Very good. And with the question, how do you spell your last name? I answer, it's spelled Liddell.
Hey, Ann, how do you spell freckles?
How do you spell zucchini?
So how you spell all these words anyway?
How do you spell buter, by the way?
Peace. How do you spell that?
Okay, and how do you spell that?
T-R-O-Y.
Hey, Josie, how do you spell ugly?
How do you spell that?
Yes.
How do you spell that?
Let's practice. How do you spell your last name? Very good. Let's practice with how do you say.
I'm not so young anymore, and how do you say a little incontinent?
How do you say no? Oh my gosh.
I know. How do you say that in Espanol?
How do you say that in French?
How do you say that you're a loving person with this on my face, you know?
How do you say that?
How do you say this in your native language? Very good. Let's also look at the difference between a direct question and an indirect question. If I say, what do you call it? That's a direct question. But if I say, do you know? I have to change the structure. Do you know what it's called? I cannot say, do you know what is it called? I cannot use a question structure. I have to use a positive structure after do you know. Do you know what it's called?
I know what it's called.
I don't know what it's called.
You know what it's called?
What?
New tweeter ends.
Oh, I know what it's called, but you can't do this.
I know what it's called.
Let's practice. Do you know what it's called? That's right. I know what it's called. Ask me the question. Yes, I know what it's called. It's called a plush toy. Very good. Now let's practice the negative answer. Do you know what it's called? I don't know what it's called. Do you know what it's called? That's right. I don't know what it's called either. Very good. Keep watching to learn to avoid another common mistake with the verb call. Today we're talking about an important mistake to avoid using the verb call. I can say, what do they call him? They call him a troublemaker. But I cannot say, how do they call him? When using call, you make the question with a what. What do they call him? And also, when you use call, don't use like. They call him like that. No like when you use the verb call. So, I say, why do they call him that? Not, why do they call him like that? Why do they call him that? They call him that because he causes problems. They call him a troublemaker because he causes problems. So again, with the verb call, do not use like. You cannot say they call him like that. You say, they call him that. Question, why do they call him that? They call him that because he causes problems. He makes trouble. That's why they call him that. Let's practice. What do they call him? That's right, they call him a troublemaker. Why do they call him that? That's right, they call him that because he causes problems. He makes trouble. That's why they call him that. So remember, when using call, use the question word what, never how, and don't put the action call with like. You cannot use the two words together, call and like. You can say speak like that and talk like that, but you cannot say call him like that. It's call him that. A common mistake I've heard from my students is this, the way how I like it. Example, they cook the food the way how I like it is not correct. We cannot put the way and how together. We have to eliminate one. So you can say they cook the food the way I like it, or you can say they cook the food how I like it. But you cannot say they cook the food the way how I like it together. You cannot use the way and how together because they mean basically the same thing. For emphasis, you can use exactly or just. Example, they cook it just the way I like it. Let's practice. Do they cook the food just the way you like it? That's right, they cook it just the way I like it. Example, she's a good cook, so I can say, I like the way she cooks. Or I can say, I like how she cooks. But I cannot say, I like the way how she cooks. I cannot use the way and how together. I have to eliminate one. So I say, I like the way she cooks. Let's practice. Do you like the way she cooks? Very good. I like the way she cooks too. So remember, you cannot say the way how. You cannot say the way how I like it. You cannot use the way and how together. You have to eliminate one and use just one. The way or how. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.